Thank you very much for joining us today, Harsh, for Democracy
Thank
Lighthouse.
you. Thank you.
My first question is just in 2018, you wrote a book titled Partitions of the Heart, Unmaking the Idea of India. In the book, you stated that another partition was underway in India. Could you explain what you meant by this?
Um, Way back when India got her freedom from the British in 1947, uh, freedom meant that uh, not one but two countries emerged, uh, and the two countries actually became three countries in 1971, with Pakistan, East and West Pakistan, and then East Pakistan rebelling against uh, uh, not just rebelling, but fighting a very bloody war of independence from West Pakistan. Um, there's something that I think we need to understand what the battle in 1947 was. At the time of India's partition, uh, 1 million people slaughtered each other, Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs on both sides of the border. Um, Uh, and we saw probably what was the world's largest distress displacement of about 15 million people. My own family was among those who had to cross across the border, were forced out of what is now Pakistan. Um, the, the idea of India at its best, the idea was okay. No, let me say, what was the idea of Pakistan? The idea of Pakistan was that we can be safe and we can progress uh, only with our samenesses. And sameness was defined on a single identity, and that was of your religious identity. So, in simple words, Muslims in will only be able to be safe and thrive and prosper if they live in a country which is primarily of Muslims. The idea of India was the very opposite. The idea of India was that don't look for samenesses, learn to respect, and I would say celebrate difference. That India, the Indian civilizational history uh, has has problems, has very severe problems of caste and gender oppression and injustice at extraordinary levels. But it is also the one civilization in which one can say caravans came to India from every part of the world. And instead of moving on, they stayed on. Christianity came to India within, about 70 years of Christ's passing. Islam came to India probably 1,000 years before before it came to Europe. Islam came to India shortly after the Prophet's passing, uh, and so on. So this has been a country, which has its cultural and religious traditions, its music, its poetry, its food is 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 really an amalgam of uh, of civilization influences from across the world. So when I'm saying being celebrating diversity, I want to underline we're not talking about tolerance. I don't like the word tolerance. Tolerance means I'm putting up with you. No, I'm delighted you're here because you're enriching my country and my world. So these are two very different ideas. The idea of Pakistan, very briefly, actually uh, broke down uh, in 1971 because East Pakistanis said, yes, we are Muslim, but we are also Bengali and we love our language, we love our culture. And if 1 million people died in India's partition, it is estimated that 3 million people died in the liberation of Bangladesh. So the idea of safety in samenesses already broke down. It's critically important for the world that India demonstrates that it is possible to live together with with uh, with peace and respect. Regardless of your religion, your race, your nationality, and so on. I'll just add one more thing there. Uh, One of India's sort of great Hindu religious icons is somebody called Swami Vivekananda. And in 1898, I think in Chicago, he made this very famous speech in the Parliament of World Religions. And he said in that speech, "I'm proud to belong to a country which has welcomed the persecuted of every religion and every nation." And it's ironical that, bitterly ironical that the Bharatiya Janata Party, the Hindu supremacist organization, today that actually takes Swami Vivekanand as one of its main icons, is wanting to build a nation which excludes from the right of equal citizenship people of a particular religion, which is Islam and Christianity, and also the persecuted, such as the Rohingya.
Yeah. Well, on that, you recently did a two-part series for Concurrent, in
Yeah.
which you stated that there is reason to believe that there is a systematic Hindutva terror infrastructure. To what extent does the Modi government and the ruling BJP party facilitate and or encourage this network?
Um, See the ideological mentor icon lighthouse for the BJP is an organization called the RSS, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. The RSS was constituted exactly 100 years ago. And the RSS is today, by all accounts, the largest sort of non-government formation in the world. And at the heart of the idea of the RSS is the idea of that India will be a country for its Hindu majority, in which Muslims and Christians either ideally should not be there. But if they live, they must be second-class citizens. They must live without rights, without citizenship rights. It's an idea that we were completely opposed to, and in the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. In the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, there was a very different idea for India. As we know, Gandhiji was assassinated shortly after independence by people who belong to this Hindu supremacist formation. Because it was 100 years, I held a conversation with Mahatma Gandhi's grandson at that time, Ratman Gandhi, who was 90 years old now. He was alive when Gandhi was assassinated. And I asked him, what is it? Why does the RSS hate Mahatma Gandhi so much? And with great simplicity, he said for two reasons. One was that Gandhiji said, India belongs to all. Uh, and the portent of it is that India belongs equally to its Muslim citizens, to its disadvantaged castes, to people of disadvantaged identities. Equal. There's no superior and prior belonging of one community or another.
Yeah.
So he said, and the RSS believes that this is a Hindu nation in which Muslims and Christians must live as second-class citizens. And the second reason he said why they hate Gandhiji so much is that he said Ishwar and Allah are the same. Ishwar is the Hindu name for God. So he said Ishwar and Allah are the same, which means largely that every religion is worthy of the same respect and rights. So it is, it's almost as though the RSS and the BJP have dragged India back to precisely where we were in 1947. Once again, we have reopened the question: who does this country belong to? And can Muslims be equal citizens? And the second is the question of equal religious freedom and rights. Now, in the back, the RSS uniform till very recently was khaki shorts, pattern, and it's an openly militarist organization. They gather on in public parks all over the country. They have military kind of drills. It's clearly a militia, and uh, but it has, for instance, when Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, they said no, the assassin was not a member of the organization. So there isn't a formal kind of membership, but there was no doubt that he was influenced by the same ideologies. Uh, so in India, we are seeing segments of the Hindu supremacist formation, which have uh, participated in terrorist activities, in a series of terrorist activities, and yet there's complete denial. And for most of these, the Indian Muslims were blamed, and the state also took took it almost by definition that they would be Muslim terrorists. People have spent 10, 14, recently 19 years in prison, charged with these crimes. I mean, the most recent, which there was a series of bomb blasts in Mumbai, and these people have been kept in prison for 19 years, at the end of which the Supreme Court says there isn't a shred of evidence of their guilt, and so on. So, who has committed these crimes? So, I have argued with evidence, with a number of reports about uh, people who are influenced by the Hindu supremacist idea, who also have resorted to terrorist activities. India's Home Minister proudly declared over and over again that there is no such thing as a Hindu terrorist, which is actually a hugely problematic claim, because what is unsaid is that there is something like Muslim terrorists, and we are saying that there is no Muslim or Hindu terrorist, there is no Jewish terrorist, and so on and so forth. There are people who use religion to justify uh, terrorist action, but they are not. No religion teaches terror and violence.
Yeah. Um, in recent weeks and months, the youth-led cockroach movement has received significant attention in both India and
Mhm.
abroad. Um, what do you think that movements like this can do to return India to a country for all?
As it happened, a couple of days back, I was in the city of Hyderabad, where the cockroach party was gathering, and they asked me to come and also uh, um, come and speak some words of solidarity, which I did. Um, uh, I and on the positive side, I think the kind of popular support, uh, this irony where he actually called upon lazy, unemployed people to sort of sign in, and it got a membership which is higher than that of the BJP, which claimed to have the highest sort of social media support in the world. So it does talk about something, and I think what it talks about, what it indicates, is that there is massive discontent. Young people, and not just in India. I mean, we've just seen in recent times, we saw a Gen Z uprising in Nepal. What did they do? They set fire to parliament. They set fire to the Supreme Court. They set fire to the home of every major political leader. You see, and we saw that a little earlier in Bangladesh and a little before that in Sri Lanka. So I think this cockroach movement is again, a straw in the wind, which reflects the level of young people's anger and dissatisfaction. The problem with the cockroach party, and even when I was there, it's enormously depoliticized. The language, the issues that they raise, it's depoliticized, and uh, the assault on India's democracy today is centered around its assault on its Muslim minorities, and to a lesser extent to its Christian minorities. Now, if you're, it's like if you are keeping silent about that, uh, then it's like living in Nazi Germany and talking about everything else except the Jews. And that's my central problem. It's also not talking about, we're seeing a kind of, not just crony capitalist, but really an oligarchic kind of, where two, Mr. Adani and Mr. Ambani are seeming to, they're owning the whole country, step by step by step, with huge state support and uh, there's no conversation about that as well in this movement, and about massive inequality. We are more unequal today in India than we were in British colonial times. There's no talk about that. But I think perhaps most importantly, jobs. We're passing through a period. I think the whole neoliberal model is creating great wealth in very few hands, but centrally, it's not producing decent work opportunities. And young people have less and less look forward to for a better life. And AI, I think, is going to, whatever was left is also getting toppled over. Uh, I, a genuinely progressive political movement, on the one hand, needs to have solidarity with persecuted minorities and keep that at its center. And on the other hand, it needs to have a radical new imagination about how we will design our economic policies in ways that ensure jobs, healthcare, uh, uh, public education, and so on.